You didn't stumble onto this message. You were summoned. The moment you clicked, something inside you stirred. Not curiosity, but recognition. It's like a deep part of you that's been silent for years suddenly opened its eyes and said, "This is it." That sense of alignment, that strange inner knowing that this message is different from anything else you've heard. It's not your imagination. It's divine timing. You've entered into a spiritual appointment written long before you even knew what to look for. While the world sleeps, heaven speaks. And right now, it's speaking directly to you. You're not listening to this because of chance. You're listening because your name has been called, not loudly, but intentionally, in the stillness of the Spirit, where only the chosen hear what others ignore. This is your confirmation that everything you've endured, everything you've questioned, everything that tried to destroy you, it all had purpose. It wasn't punishment. It wasn't neglect. It was the preparation for this precise moment. And that moment isn't about words. It's about release. Right now, a miracle deposit, something spiritual, sacred, and personal, has been released in your name. A blessing with coordinates that lead straight to your soul. But here's the truth. Even though it's yours, it won't chase you. Heaven has opened the vault, but you must step in and receive. This isn't the season of begging. This is the season of claiming, because what's being released has already been prepared. It's not forming, it's finished. The only thing left is your alignment with the promise. You've walked through fires no one saw. You've bled silently while smiling publicly. You've kept going when giving up was easier, and you've believed when believing felt foolish. You've been the quiet warrior, the overlooked servant, the relentless believer, and heaven has kept every record, every prayer you whispered, every seed you sowed in secret, every time you chose love over revenge, peace over chaos, truth over convenience. You thought no one noticed, but God noticed. And He didn't just notice, He stored it. Every act of faith, every silent obedience became currency. Not in a worldly sense, but in a divine economy that values what man overlooks. Your life hasn't been ignored, it's been invested, and now the return is due. Not because you're lucky, but because you're chosen. Heaven's system is not based on favoritism, it's based on faithfulness. And in that system, there's a spiritual account with your name on it. You didn't see the balance, you didn't see the interest growing. But every time you endured, every time you held your tongue, every time you stayed the course, you were depositing into that account. And now the payout has been approved. It's time for the release. But spiritual currency doesn't work like money. It doesn't get deposited into your lap while you wait passively. It activates through belief, through action, through response. You have to claim it. You have to rise to meet it. You have to match the magnitude of what's being released with the magnitude of your obedience. Because heaven is generous, but it's never random. You've been feeling the pressure lately, the tension, the tightness in your spirit, like something is coming, but you don't know what. That's not anxiety. It's anticipation. The spirit realm is moving. The angels are assembling. The energy around you is shifting, not because something is about to happen, because something has already happened. You're not on the verge of breakthrough. You're in it. You're inside the sacred moment of transition, the thin space between waiting and walking. You can feel it in your bones, can't you? That urge to wake up, to move, to believe again. It's because heaven has already sent the miracle. Now it's watching to see if you'll receive it. This is the part where most people hesitate. They say, maybe tomorrow, maybe when I'm ready, maybe when I understand. But here's the truth that the enemy hopes you never discover. Miracles don't wait for perfect understanding. They wait for perfect obedience. And the kind of obedience that unlocks miracles doesn't need all the answers. It just needs a yes, not a timid yes, not a later yes, a now yes, because heaven is not asking you to figure it out. It's asking you to trust what's already been figured out on your behalf. The miracle isn't being negotiated, it's being delivered. And the only thing heaven is waiting on is your response. There's a reason midnight matters, not just as a time on the clock, but as a spiritual reality. Midnight is where yesterday dies and destiny begins. It's where the old can no longer hold you, and the new demands your entrance. Midnight is when the divine shifts happen. It's when prisoners are freed. It's when covenants are sealed. It's when promises go from not yet to now. In Scripture, midnight was never just a backdrop. It was a turning point. When the angel of death passed over the obedient. When Paul and Silas sang their way out of prison. When the bridegroom came for the prepared. Midnight is holy. It is urgent. And it does not wait for those who hesitate. It is reserved for those who recognize the hour and respond with faith, not fear. The most dangerous sound in the spirit isn't silence. It's the ticking clock when someone chosen is still undecided. Midnight doesn't beg. It doesn't extend its hand a second time. It opens once, briefly. And those who move within it receive what others only dream about. Right now, you are standing in that sacred hour. The countdown is real. The pressure you feel isn't stress. It's the weight of timing colliding with truth. And the window is open, but not forever. If you're waiting for another sign, another confirmation, another excuse to delay, you may miss what was never meant to be delayed another day. Destiny doesn't negotiate with delay. It partners with decision. You have to choose, not with your lips, but with your spirit, with your willingness to say yes even when you don't have all the details. Yes, even when you still feel wounded. Yes, even when you still have questions, because your yes isn't based on what you feel. It's based on what's real. And what's real is that you've been marked for this, designed for this, not just to receive a miracle, but to carry it, to steward it, to multiply it. What's being released to you is bigger than comfort. It's a calling. It's not just for your survival, it's for your legacy. And legacy begins with boldness, with bravery, with the kind of faith that doesn't look back. The vault is open. The light is pouring out. Your name is written on the next move of heaven. But heaven is watching your response. Not because it doubts you, but because it's empowering you. Because God doesn't bless who you pretend to be. He blesses the real you, the raw, wounded, still believing you. And that you is ready. You wouldn't still be here if you weren't. You wouldn't feel this tug in your chest if it wasn't your time. And you wouldn't be hearing this message if heaven hadn't already confirmed the release. This is not the end. This is the moment everything changes. This is the crossing point. This is the invitation. This is the appointed time when destiny stops circling your life and begins invading it. But only if you say yes. Only if you trust. Only if you rise and claim what's been yours all along. Heaven is ready. The miracle is released. And the only question left is, are you? Because midnight is coming, and when it strikes, everything moves. Will you move with it? Or will you watch it pass and wonder what would have happened if you had? You've waited long enough. You've prayed long enough. You've been faithful long enough. Now it's time to receive, to rise, to answer, to say yes, because your miracle isn't coming. It's here, and it's waiting for you to believe it. Act, move, claim it. You are the chosen one, and the time is now. You've wondered why the pressure's been increasing, why it feels like just when you get your footing the ground shakes again, why people you trusted vanished when you needed them most, why opportunities slipped through your fingers even though you were more than ready, why spiritual attacks came at you from angles you didn't even know existed. And it's not because you were doing something wrong. It's because you were doing something right. It's because you were on the verge of something heaven had to protect, even if you didn't understand the protection in the moment. You weren't being punished. You were being positioned, because what you're about to carry requires more than hope. It requires strength, and strength is only built through resistance, through pressure, through pain. The battle before the blessing is not a coincidence. It is the final test before release. You've been walking through invisible warfare, the kind of spiritual resistance that makes you question yourself, makes you question your future, makes you wonder if you missed something, if you misheard the promise. But you didn't miss anything. The enemy just panicked. He saw what was coming. He saw the heavenly documents that listed your name. He saw the scrolls being opened. He saw the angels gathering around your coordinates. And so he launched one last desperate attack. He brought confusion to your mind, friction into your relationships, and fatigue into your soul. Not because he's strong, but because you are, because you were getting too close, because the gates of heaven were creaking open, because the harvest was ready, and the enemy knows that once you step into what's yours, there's no stopping you. But here's the truth you need to let sink deep into your bones. The fact that the battle has been so intense is the very proof that the blessing is so massive. Hell doesn't fight what it doesn't fear. The warfare wasn't proof of your weakness. It was confirmation of your authority. You were targeted not because you're broken, but because you're chosen. And the fact that you're still here, still standing, still listening, still believing, even with bruises, even with unanswered questions, even with scars, that's what qualifies you for the next move of God. You didn't quit. And in heaven's kingdom, endurance speaks louder than perfection. But this isn't just about surviving. This is about activating. Because now the warfare has shifted. The enemy's attacks no longer have power unless you agree with them. The fire didn't burn you, it refined you. The storm didn't sink you, it baptized you. The delay didn't deny you, it prepared you. And now all of heaven is saying, it's time. Time to stop questioning. Time to stop apologizing. Time to stop shrinking. Time to step into what's already been spoken over you. The battle has served its purpose. The lesson has been written in your spirit, and the blessing is no longer waiting. It's knocking, and you've earned the authority to open the door. And here's where it gets real. Heaven has never operated on chance. It operates on covenant. And when you're chosen, you're not waiting on miracles. You're walking toward them. But walking requires action, movement, agreement. Because spiritual transactions are real. Heaven doesn't just hand out blessings like lottery tickets. It requires your yes. It requires your alignment. And when you align, when your obedience matches heaven's instruction, a transaction takes place. not just emotionally, not symbolically, literally. Heaven responds, resources move, angels are dispatched, doors unlock. What once was spiritual begins to manifest in the physical. That's what this moment is. It's the transaction point, the moment where your belief and your blessing collide. Think of it like this. You've already made the deposits. You've already passed the tests. But until you respond, the transfer remains pending. And right now, your spirit is the final signature. That deep, surrendered, undeniable yes is what seals it. Not a yes based on how things look, but a yes based on who God is. Because faith doesn't need to see evidence to know it's real. And your miracle isn't waiting on a perfect day. It's waiting on a perfect yes. The angels are already in motion. The spiritual traffic lights have turned green. But heaven honors timing. If you wait too long, the transaction window closes. The opportunity shifts. The blessing reroutes. It's not punishment, it's process. And you've waited long enough. There is a divine momentum that has already started. You've felt it, the clarity, the restlessness, the rising hope that makes no sense in your current circumstances. That's not you being optimistic. That's the supernatural transfer beginning to flow. The currency of heaven is being released, not just in theory, but in tangible form. Some of you are about to receive wisdom that changes your life. Others will see restoration in places you thought were permanently broken. Some will see divine connections show up out of nowhere, and many of you will begin to walk in abundance, not just for yourself, but so you can be a carrier of overflow for others. But all of it hinges on this moment of recognition, this moment of belief, this moment of response. You can't afford to scroll past this and tell yourself, maybe later. Later is the enemy of now, and heaven doesn't move through hesitation, it moves through trust. The time for small prayers is over, the time for half faith is over, the time for begging is over. You are royalty, you are chosen, and chosen ones don't beg, they claim, they walk, they step forward with boldness, not because they have all the answers, but because they know the one who holds them. You've been asking for confirmation. This is it. You've been asking for a sign. This is it. You've been waiting for someone to tell you it's not too late, that you didn't miss it, that it's still coming. This is that moment. The angels have waited long enough. The vault is unlocked. The blessing is active. The transfer is in motion. And the only thing left is the key. And that key is in your hands. So speak it. Believe it. Move like it's already yours. Live like the deposit is already in your life. Because it is. And now heaven is waiting on you to match the release with radical faith. The moment your spirit says yes, heaven finishes what it started. The vault swings open. The blessing crashes through. The transfer hits your life like a flood. And suddenly, everything shifts. Not because you earned it, not because you manipulated it, but because you believed. That's the secret of the chosen. They believe when others wait. They act while others watch. They obey when it doesn't make sense. And in return, they carry miracles that others only pray for. You are one of them. This is your moment. This is your release. This is your transaction point. Heaven is ready, and your miracle is now. There's a reason you've been distracted more than ever. A reason you've felt pulled in 100 different directions, even while trying to stay focused. A reason your peace has been under attack, your mind clouded, your soul weary. And it's not because you've done anything wrong. It's because you're dangerously close to something right. The enemy doesn't fight what isn't a threat. He doesn't waste his time on those who aren't walking into purpose. But when someone steps into their identity, when a chosen one begins to realize who they really are, everything in the atmosphere shifts. And the enemy? He panics, because once a chosen one wakes up, they become unstoppable. That's where you are right now, on the edge of unstoppable. And the pressure you're feeling, it's not resistance because you're off track. It's resistance because you're on track. The enemy has been working overtime to confuse you, not because he's winning, but because he's losing control over your timeline. He saw what heaven just released. He saw the scrolls open. He saw the assignments dispatched. He saw your name being spoken in heavenly places. And now, he's desperate. Because once you claim what's yours, once you activate what's been released, the grip he had on your past, your fear, your limitations, it breaks. And that kind of breakthrough doesn't just change your life, it wrecks the plans of darkness for generations. That's why he tried to convince you to settle. That's why he whispered lies that you're too late, too flawed, too far gone. Because if you believe those lies, you disqualify yourself from what heaven has already qualified you for. But here's the truth. He's already lost. The battle is already won. The chains have already been broken. The only power the enemy has now is the power of suggestion. If he can distract you, delay you, get you to doubt your worth long enough, you'll miss your moment. That's why this message reached you when it did. Because heaven saw the warfare, heaven saw the interference, and heaven stepped in with a reminder, you are still chosen. The miracle hasn't been cancelled. The deposit hasn't been lost. The vault hasn't been sealed back up. It's still open. It's still waiting. But now, more than ever, you must silence every outside voice and listen to the truth inside your soul. You must remember who you are. You've always been marked for more. That's why ordinary things never satisfied you. That's why fitting in felt like betrayal. That's why you've always carried a weight, a sense of divine responsibility, even when you couldn't explain it. You weren't created to be average. You were created to be trusted. Trusted with spiritual authority, trusted with influence, trusted with breakthrough. And the enemy knew that from the beginning. That's why he attacked your identity so early, why he planted insecurity so young, why he tried to make you believe that quiet obedience was weakness. But you know better now. You've outgrown the lies. And what once intimidated you now ignites you. You're not just stepping into victory, you're becoming it. You've been walking with your head down, surviving storms that would have destroyed others. You've carried burdens without applause, fought battles without backup, cried prayers that only heaven heard. And still you stayed faithful, you stayed open, you stayed willing. And heaven took notice, because God doesn't choose the loudest voice, He chooses the strongest heart. And your heart has been through the fire and come out pure. You didn't become bitter, you didn't give up. And that's why this blessing is being entrusted to you. It's not just about what you'll receive, it's about who you'll become once you carry it. Because your hands won't just hold the miracle, they'll pass it on. You'll be the one others run to when they need proof that God still moves. But there's something even deeper, something sacred. The reason heaven is releasing overflow into your life isn't so you can sit in comfort. It's because you're about to become a vessel, an extension of the kingdom on earth. You are going to carry breakthrough for others, financial, emotional, spiritual, relational. You will be the doorway that others walk through. That's why you were attacked so heavily, because the enemy didn't just see your future. He saw the futures you'd impact. He saw the chains you'd break that weren't even yours, the cycles you'd end, the curses you'd reverse, and that terrified him. But you made it through. You're still here, which means it's too late for him now. What's coming for you can't be stopped, only claimed. So now is the moment when you stop asking for permission, stop waiting for affirmation, stop apologizing for your calling. You are royalty, you are chosen. And chosen ones don't beg, they declare. They move in silence and strike in faith. They speak what they've seen in the spirit long before it shows up in the natural. That's who you are. You're not trying to be great. You've already been called. You're not seeking favor. You already have it. The shift that's happening in your life now is not because of what you've done. It's because of who you are. And it's time the world sees it too. You've survived the pressure. You've passed the test. Now get ready to carry the power. And now we enter the part of the journey where things begin to move quickly. In the spirit, the momentum has already begun. You may not see it with your natural eyes, but the angels have been released. The instructions have been given. The paths are being cleared. Your name has been mentioned in rooms you've never entered. Divine introductions are being arranged. Favor is moving ahead of you, preparing people, places, and moments to receive you. And you're not walking into rooms empty. You're walking in with oil, with insight, with fire, with answers that only the chosen carry. You won't have to force it. You won't have to explain it. You'll walk in and things will shift, because what's on you is undeniable. This is your overflow season, but not just so you can rest. It's so you can rise. Heaven didn't deliver this miracle to make you comfortable. It delivered it to make you impactful. You are about to enter a season where everything around you begins to respond to the authority within you. Doors will open not because you pushed, but because they recognized who you were. People will bless you not because you asked, but because they were instructed by heaven. You will start seeing alignment in places where there used to be confusion. Clarity will become your companion. Confidence will be your posture. Peace will follow your footsteps, and breakthrough will become your new baseline. But it all hinges on this one thing: your decision to walk like it's already done, to live like it's already released, to move like the vault is open and the miracle has landed. Because it has. The transaction has been completed. The angel of delivery has already taken flight. And now the spiritual world is waiting to see how you carry what you've been given. This is not the time to shrink. This is not the time to hide. This is the time to declare, to step out, to move, to act. Because when the chosen rise, all of heaven celebrates. And you are the chosen. The proof is in your survival. The evidence is in your endurance. And the reward is in your hands. Now carry it like the world depends on it. Because in many ways, it does. The countdown has already begun. And it's not just ticking in the background. It's echoing through your spirit. Something inside of you knows this moment is different. You've felt moments of urgency before, but this one has weight. This one feels eternal. The air around you feels charged, the atmosphere thick with unseen movement. It's because heaven isn't just watching, it's waiting. Midnight is approaching, and this is not the kind of midnight that simply ends a day. This is the kind of midnight that separates two lifetimes, two versions of you, the one who hesitated and the one who crossed over. This is where destiny sharpens into decision, where timelines split, where spiritual promotions either activate or get postponed. Not because God is holding out on you, but because divine moments require agreement. Heaven never forces miracles, it releases them to the ready. That's why this countdown is sacred. You're not running out of time because God is impatient. You're standing in a narrow window of divine alignment. When your faith is ripe, your maturity complete, your soul awakened, and the blessing that's been held up can finally find you. But just like a window, it doesn't stay open forever, and if you miss this opening, it could be a long while before it returns. There's a rhythm in the Spirit, a timing that only the chosen are sensitive to. And right now, your spirit is sensing it. That's why the usual distractions aren't satisfying. That's why you feel restless doing things that used to bring comfort. You've outgrown your old atmosphere. You've outgrown excuses. You've outgrown waiting. Not because you're tired, but because you're aligned. The version of you that's emerging doesn't fit into the smallness of your past. You weren't made to live at the mercy of delay. You were made to move with divine momentum. But here's the thing, momentum without action is meaningless. What you do in this moment determines everything that follows. Imagine this, a blessing fully formed, tailor-made for your life, loaded with answers, restoration, clarity, resources, peace, and purpose, circling over your life like a plane waiting for clearance to land. It's ready. It's been ready. But unless you move into position, it can't touch down. Unless you respond, it has nowhere to land. And too many chosen ones live with spiritual cargo circling above them for years, simply because they never said yes. Not a passive yes, a real yes, a bold yes, a before midnight yes. Because in the kingdom, timing is not just about opportunity, it's about trust. Can God trust you to move when He says move, even if you don't see the full map? You've been praying for change, crying out for breakthrough, asking for signs, and this is your answer. This message is the signal, the divine confirmation that the wait is over, the vault is open, and all of heaven is asking you one thing. Will you respond in time? Will you move before the clock strikes midnight? Because after midnight, things shift. After midnight, the window narrows, not because God changes His mind, but because opportunity is sacred. It moves with divine order. And chosen ones don't just wait, they respond. They know the cost of hesitation. They know the pain of missed moments, and they refuse to stay still while the Spirit is calling them forward. You don't need another prophecy. You don't need another sign. You don't need someone to come validate what heaven has already spoken. You just need to remember what you already know, that this is your moment, this is your shift, this is your divine appointment, and everything in your life has been leading to it. The battles, the betrayals, the silent nights, the growth, the purging, the pressure, it all prepared you, because what's coming next will require the deepest version of you, the mature version, the aligned version, the faithful version, the version that says, I don't need all the answers, I just need to say yes. And now we come to the final truth, the moment where everything stops moving until you move. Right now, heaven is watching, but not the way people watch. Heaven watches with anticipation, with hope, with excitement, because your yes is not just a personal decision, it's a signal to the spirit world. When a chosen one says yes, Angels activate, chains break, gates open, assignments get reassigned, kingdoms shift, because your obedience doesn't just bless your life, it affects generations, it reorders bloodlines, it interrupts curses, it creates legacy. That's how much power your yes carries. The angels who've been assigned to your destiny, they're not just floating above you, they're positioned, ready, standing still at the edge of your miracle, waiting for the signal that says go. And that signal only comes from you. That's how divine law works. Heaven responds to faith. It moves at the sound of obedience, not at noise, not at doubt, not at hesitation, but at bold, raw, surrendered obedience. And that obedience doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be real. The kind of obedience that says, God, I don't know how, but I trust you anyway. The kind that moves mountains, the kind that splits seas. If you could see what's being prepared behind the veil, you wouldn't hesitate for one more second. If you could see the angels lined up with resources in hand, if you could see the chains that are trembling, waiting to fall, if you could see the version of yourself that's waiting on the other side of this decision, you would run toward your destiny. And yet, heaven won't show you all of it, because what matters isn't what you see, it's what you believe. That's what faith is, and that's what activates your inheritance. You are not powerless, you are not forgotten, you are not too late, you are the chosen one, you are the name on the sealed scroll, you are the one heaven has been speaking over. You are the one the enemy tried to stop but failed. You are the proof that endurance works, that faith speaks louder than fear, that obedience unlocks overflow. This is your moment. This is your countdown. And the time for hoping is over. The time for walking is now. Before midnight, respond. Before midnight, agree. Before midnight, activate. Don't let this moment pass you by. Don't let another delay rob you of what was always yours. The vault is open. The angels are ready. The delivery has been prepared. And the only thing heaven is waiting for is you. Say yes. Move now. Because midnight is coming, and when it strikes, it won't just mark the end of a day. It will mark the beginning of everything you were born to walk in. Your miracle is waiting, your future is watching, and all of heaven is listening for the sound of your yes.